Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. We're very glad you're with us today. It's April 27th, 2021. Hard to believe another month is almost gone. For those people on Zoom, if you have questions, as soon as you think about them, just open the chat box and put your questions into the chat window. And for those people who are watching right now on Facebook, please just enter your questions into the comment field. I'm monitoring that feed, and I'll be sure to get those questions answered as our speaker takes a break. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you have you post a comment in the chat box, you have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment, name, and picture to appear. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started Career DFW to help people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area by putting everything they need to know about their job search in one place by creating a website just for them. In 2012, I started a website called careerusa.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since late 1990s, and I'll tell you about our upcoming program at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, which is also known as the PIT crew, and that is a great way to practice your interviewing skills. If you're interested in doing a panel interview, just reach out to me, and I'll be glad to send you some details on how you can reach out to the PIT crew and ask for a practice interview. Well, when we started LinkedIn, this is week 53, I think, of doing LinkedIn presentations. I went, who do I know who's really good about LinkedIn, who's really qualified, who can really do a great job explaining the different aspects of LinkedIn. And the four people you see here all talk about LinkedIn from a little bit different point of view. And that's really great because you're going to learn something every week. So this week, our speaker is Ruth Lipsky. She's going to talk about LinkedIn search engine optimization. She's a career coach, and she is helping her candidates and helping people every day with this. So Ruth, thank you for being with us, and take it away.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about how we're going to be able to use LinkedIn in order to find a job. And in order to do that, you need to ensure that you're setting up your profile so that recruiters can find you in their search algorithms. So what we'll be talking about today are the career goals, the LinkedIn goals that you should have, what the recruiters see and how they use the LinkedIn recruiter search software. We'll talk about making sure that your titles and your skills give you the maximum value. There are other sections within LinkedIn above and beyond what a resume would be. So we'll talk about making sure that those are being considered. We're going to do some networking talk and posting on the home page. And why is LinkedIn important? It's because although a company is looking for and providing jobs for 48% of the folks from their company website, LinkedIn is accounting for a third of all jobs that a company is offering these days. So without posting a job on a public job board, they will go directly to LinkedIn, put in a title, generally a location and some skills, and they find thousands of people who will fit the qualifications that they're looking for. It's a lot faster, it's a lot cheaper to use LinkedIn to find people and invite them in for an interview. So with the predominance of LinkedIn as an activity for recruiters being proactive to find people, you need to make sure that these recruiters can find you. The two goals that you've got on LinkedIn, the one we'll be talking about today is making sure that your LinkedIn profile is set up so that the search engine is optimized to find you. The other LinkedIn goal that you have is to make sure that when a person lands on your page, that it looks welcoming, that it contains information that is readable, that it's got the picture, that it's got the background. It's going to be indicative of what you can do and what value you're going to bring for the company. But sometimes these two goals don't give you the same needs within your profile. So we'll talk about that a little bit too. What does the recruiter see? The first thing you need to know is that LinkedIn gives your profile a score. Every day, this LinkedIn is going to recalculate a score for your profile. It is based on the content that you have. How much have you filled out? How many of the sections do you have that you have put information in? How active are you? You can't see what your score is, nor will LinkedIn tell you the point value of any of the activities. But we do know that the more active you are, the more complete your profile is, the more LinkedIn likes you and rewards you by having a higher score. Why is that score important? It's because when a recruiter is using the LinkedIn Recruiter software, your score is going to be part of the results. In this case, the recruiter is looking for a project manager in the greater Chicago area who knows something about business strategy and analytics. Those two skills need to be either in the skills and endorsements section of the profile, or it needs to be someplace else in this exact wording. If they're looking for analytics, you can't have analytical and expect to have a match. It's got to be an exact match to the skill they're looking for. And what comes up is 42,798 people in the greater Chicago area who have project manager experience that includes those two skills. Emily Dalton is number 1 on the list, and Shannon Curry is number 2. Aubrey Mackey is number 3. LinkedIn does not do anything randomly. There's a reason that these people came up as 1, 2, and 3 on the list. Part of it is because they're open to new opportunities. Recruiters are going to give priority to people who are looking actively for a job because it makes their job easier. They don't have to talk you away from a job you might like. And if they offer you a job, then you're not going to have to wait another 2 or 3 weeks while you train your replacement. So being open to new opportunities is going to put you higher up on the list. Also, putting you up high on the list is if you know people in the company and you're connected to somebody within the company that recruiter is looking for. So being able to connect with people within a company is going to bring you greater results on these job searches. Also part of this search is, in this case, 904 people are engaged in your talent brand, which means that 904 people have this company in their interest area. Recruiters are going to be more interested in people who know something about the company, about the products, about the brand, about the culture. And when people have that company in the interest section of their profile, it's generally an indication that they know a little bit about that company and are going to be more welcoming to a request for an interview. So Emily Dalton came up number 1 out of nearly 43,000 people. She does have project manager as a job title and as a previous job title, has things that are associated with that, has 2 company connections, follows the company, which means that they are engaged in the talent brand and are open to new opportunities. So the 3 things that this recruiter thinks are most important will bring Emily to the top, and people who aren't as engaged in this company are not going to be seen generally in the high number of searches here. Here's another view where the recruiter is just looking for accountants. And for accountants, man, there are 4 million of them. Once again, though, LinkedIn took those 4 million LinkedIn profiles and put them in the order that they felt were most appropriate for this recruiting search. Some people were more likely to respond. That's something new. You can't see this, but the recruiters can. This means that anytime a recruiter contacts you for a job, that you let them know either you're interested in it or that you don't feel it's a good fit at this time and possibly why. But if you ignore a recruiter who contacts you through a LinkedIn contact, then your score for likely to respond starts going down. So anytime you've got a recruiter that is interested in you and wants a conversation with you, reply to them, because that's part of the hidden score that LinkedIn is keeping track of. Other things that this recruiter is looking for, same as before. They want people open to new opportunities and have company connections. This recruiter did not want to have everything that the previous company had. But on this search, it's bringing up plenty of people that they're going to be able to work with. So in summary, in order to make your profile more viewable and a higher standard for a search, make sure that you've completed the open to work section, that you respond so that you've got a high likely to respond, that you do have a headshot and you have the information in your headline that talks about what type of role you want, that you're connected to other employees in companies that are in your marketing plan, and that you put plenty of companies in your interest section so that the recruiters can see that you are interested in their company. One of the things you may have noticed when we were looking at these results is that the people at the top of the list here have pretty boring headline titles. So in this case, this person is just saying accountant. This person is saying senior accountant. LinkedIn has expanded this headline area to over 200 characters so that you can put in more information about who you are and what value you bring to a company. So it could be that when a recruiter is going down the first 100 profiles that they have here, they're going to be more interested in someone who has accountant specializing in highly regulated businesses, or accountant with skills in providing some additional information. That LinkedIn does not give you a lot of information when they provide the results here. It gives you the title of the person, it gives what the past couple titles were, and what their education is. If you can put more information into the headline area, it'll be eye-catching for the recruiter and will give the recruiter a better feel for what type of role you have currently, rather than just the generic accountant, and be able to provide them with how you're going to provide additional worth to the company. So we're going to start looking at the titles then, because that's one thing that shows up in the job search when a recruiter is using LinkedIn recruiter software. You generally want to use titles that LinkedIn has standardized. LinkedIn has standardized titles so that it's easier for you to talk the same language as a recruiter. And when a recruiter is doing a search on the LinkedIn recruiter software, they're generally going to use a standardized title from LinkedIn rather than the title that is used internal to their company. If you don't know what a standardized title is, you can take a look at the Open to Jobs section in the top part of your profile. You'll notice that you're able to put in 5 different job titles that you're interested in. It's not a free-form field. LinkedIn will give you suggestions as to what is appropriate for that. You pick the ones that you like. So putting those titles in is going to be important, because now the recruiter is able to find you with an exact title search, which gives you a higher score for that search. Now you can go into your headline area and put in more than one job title, because your headline area is your future. It's not the past. Your experience section covers the past. The headline area is all about the future. So the headline and the open to work, make sure you've got the job titles there that you're interested in. And you can go back into your experience section. Right now, you're probably using the title that the company gave you when you had that role. You can put other titles in there so that the recruiters have a better feel for what you actually did, and being able to put a standardized title next to something that might be a little bit unique from that company is going to allow the recruiter to see exactly who you are and what you did. So we want to show more skills. And it used to be that we wanted to have just title, 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 separated by the pipe, that straight up and down thing that's above the enter key. That means or on LinkedIn. But now we're seeing that it's more valuable for the recruiting search to be able to put in the titles and then put in something that indicates what role you really played within the company. Creating value for business through effective marketing strategies, specializing in international business, putting something in that deals with customer-centric activity. Whatever you think is indicative of how you do your job or what type of role you play, put in the headline area. It's large enough to cover a lot of space these days. So here's a headline title generator. Sometimes you want to start off with an adjective that talks about what you do. You can add a couple of titles, making sure that they're part of the standardized list. Talk about what value you bring, specializing in, focused on, able to. So the recruiter has a better feel for who you are, what you've done in the past, and what you think you can provide for the next company. So dynamic program manager, driving brand awareness through integrated marketing is a lot better than just saying, I'm a program manager. And it gives a little bit more opportunity to be able to say what you do and what type of role you're really looking for. We're going to do the same type of thing for skills. LinkedIn keeps track of what recruiters are searching for when they're looking on LinkedIn. And the top 5 skills from last year were creativity, persuasion, collaboration, adaptability, and emotional intelligence. If you don't have these 5 skills someplace on your profile, it doesn't necessarily have to be in your skills and endorsement, but it needs to be someplace else in this exact wording, then you're missing an opportunity because recruiters are looking for this. Not only are they looking for, can you do the job? Do you have the technical capabilities to do the job? They want to know that you're going to fit in with the culture and you're going to be easy to work with. So hard skills, if you've got skills in any of these more technical areas, certainly you should have those on your profile. But hard skills are normally easier to put in than those soft skills. In the skills and endorsements section of the profile, LinkedIn allows you to have 50 skills, and 3 of them are going to be above the line so that the recruiter does not need to open that up in order to see those. So these 3 need to be your 3 strongest skills associated with the job search for your next position. You may notice that LinkedIn categorizes all your skills. So it'll put you into a technical area. It'll put you into a professional skills. You can't change a skill from one category to the other. LinkedIn does not always put them in the right area. You're just going to have to live with that. But the skills that you have in that area need to be both technical and the soft skills that deal with management. Here you should be talking about not only what you can do from a technical standpoint, but how you do it. And those are going to be the soft skills. If you're looking for a higher level position, say a director level or above, you probably need to have both technical skills and soft skills in those top 3 because they want to find that balance in people. And you can add one unusual skill, like a hobby, that's going to catch the recruiter's attention. The recruiter's going to be looking through possibly up to 100 different profiles in order to find the people that they want to invite in for an interview. And going through that many skills and endorsements can get kind of dull, but being able to put something unusual in this section is going to catch the attention of the recruiter, give them a little bit of time to clear out everybody else's clutter, and we'll be able to read your profile with a little bit more attention. So adding a skill, a hobby, and it can be anything. It can be international travel, it can be quilting, it can be ping pong, put anything in that you want. But be aware that it could come up as an interview question too. And if you've got a lot of skills in one of the categories, you can put those skills in alphabetical order. They're easier to read that way, and if a recruiter is looking for one particular skill, they'll be able to find it a little bit easier if they're alphabetized. LinkedIn has just created a skills assessment so you can take a test in order to prove that you have those skills. It used to be that LinkedIn relied on the number of endorsements in order to indicate the strength of your skill. They found out that that wasn't necessarily a good indicator of whether a person had that skill in strength. Sometimes it just meant that that person had a lot of friends that were willing to endorse. So they added in a test for some of the key skills, and it allows you to take a test in order to show that you have proficiency. The assessments are going to be either in technical or in business or in design, so that you can find if you've got this assessment showing up on your skills endorsement, it means that you've got some skill through here that there's a test associated with. And early results from LinkedIn says that if a candidate has completed and passed that skill assessment, they are more likely to be hired by a factor of 30% if that skill is needed in their job. The test itself, 15 to 20 multiple choice questions. It is a timed test, and once you start it, you have to complete it in one session. Passing score is 70%. If you get a 70%, you can add a badge. This looks like a check mark in a box here by each one of the skills that you passed a test for. This badge will go away after 12 months because they feel that there are enough changes in these areas that just by proving you have a skill in it today doesn't mean that you're keeping up to date with all of the additional features and might not be able to pass it a year from now. If you do not pass the test, that is, you get less than a 70%, you can retake it, but you have to wait 3 months before you can retake it. LinkedIn changes these multiple choice questions pretty regularly, and by the time 3 months is gone, they probably have a whole new test out there for you. So other sections that you might want to consider adding to your profile in order to get more points for your profile score, you need to have the basics here in order to be an all-star. And if you have this information, then you're probably an all-star, and all-stars do get priority over people who are only on intermediate or beginner. So let's talk about how we're going to add some additional information. So here's my profile. The top portion does have some skills associated with it here. The open to work area does have titles that I'm interested in, and some of them are going to be very similar to what I currently have, but in the industry, they might be known differently in other parts of the organization. Your About section, every LinkedIn class you take should talk about the About section and how much information you need to have in there. LinkedIn says that you need at least 40 words in your LinkedIn in order to fit the maximum algorithm points. You can also put some information down at the bottom just as skills one after another. It's better if you can have the skills identified in paragraphs that talk about how you use that skill, but being able to put them in your profile someplace is going to be important. Notice that in the experience section, I've got 2 titles. My career consultant title is my official title at LHH, but a lot of companies call this as a career coach. So if I want people to know that I'm available to them in more than one type of title, I need to have all titles appropriate for that. So I'm translating that title for the recruiters. You can also take your title from a previous job and in parentheses, put in additional information about what you did in that role. Sometimes you've got titles that are very broad, and it could mean different things, and it could mean that you had some type of experiences, but not others. Putting in information in a title designation after your title from the company will allow a recruiter to understand better what the bulk of your time was spent on and what other job titles you could be allowed to take if you had a chance to go for other types. You've got an area here called Add Profile Section. And if you open that up, you can see that LinkedIn allows you to have some additional places to put information. If you have licenses or certifications, you can put that in the About section, but you should also put it in the license and certification area. If you've had volunteer experience, make sure that you put that in a new category because recruiters are going to be looking for that. In the accomplishments area, it also gives you the ability to say, do you have any publications? Do you have patents? Courses is a good one to add also. If you've taken classes while you were at a company that the company offered in order to advance your skills or learn things in a new area, then you'll be able to put those in here. And it tells the recruiter a couple of things. One is that you're willing to take time out of your day to advance your skills. And two, you're willing to take all the opportunities given to you in order to grow in a company. The other types of courses that you should put in here are the classes that you took on an annual basis that came either from the compliance department or from the law department. And those would be things like anti-money laundering, maybe a code of conduct, ethics, conflict of interest. You probably had to take those classes every single year that you were at the company. Put those down as classes that you took. It's a good way to tell recruiters that you recognize the need for those in the past and that you're willing to take those classes in the future because that's the way companies work these days. You've got a lot of requirements from the government. These titles are normally really chock full of some good words that are keywords that companies might want. You also might want to look in this section under accomplishments for this project area. Project area allows you to put way more information on your LinkedIn profile than some of the areas allow you to. So if you had something that you were proud of doing and feel that other people need to see how you did, what the results were, what steps you took, you can put that as one of the bullet points in your experience section, or you can expand it out a bit and put it in the about section. But this description area is actually massive. And being able to put in the true details of what was the background, what was the situation, what did you do, what were the results? This gives you all kinds of space to be able to add in more examples of what you did, how you did it, in order to let the recruiters and the hiring managers know what you've done. In your interest area, LinkedIn is going to give you a place for the influencers, for all the companies that you have on your market plan that you're interested in joining, what groups you may have joined, and you should be part of groups because that's part of the dialogue that keeps you up to date on what is happening in your industry. And you can also put in schools. Most people have a school here based on what school they attended. LinkedIn will automatically put that school that you attended in the interest area. But if you want to follow any other school because you like their football team or because you are paying tuition for somebody to go there, put them in here. Those come up in searches too. But let's talk about how LinkedIn is using this information to help you find a job. So in the chat feature, if somebody could put in a company that they want to be part of, just put it in the chat feature and I'll pick that up and we'll do a search on it.
Anybody, just please, here we go, AMN Healthcare.
Top one right here. You will always want to follow any company because that is part of the job search criteria. You can take a look at this job section too, and quite often it's going to offer you some suggestions on jobs that are close to what your profile looks like. And it could take you to the jobs on the company career page. But this allows you to create a job alert for the company. And when you create a job alert, you can put in information about what type of job you want to do and what location you're in. And then you can create a job alert. What this does is that anytime a job is posted from this company that matches the title, the location, and the skills that you have in relation to the skills that they're looking for, then the recruiter is going to be notified that your profile matches what they're looking for, and your name will appear in a box the recruiter can look at it quickly. And anytime a recruiter can take a shortcut by saying, here's a person who is interested in your company and has the skills that you're looking for, you can be assured that they're going to be looking pretty carefully at your profile. Now, aside from just jobs, you can take a look at the people who are in this company. And in this case, there are 2,546 employees. You can see where they live and where they studied. Let's open it up to show more. And let's take a look at what's happening in the DFW area. So here are the 405 employees who work at this company and are in the DFW area. We can use the next feature here to see what they do and what they studied. What they do tells you what department they work in. So if you wanted to narrow it down and talk to the people who are in the marketing department, those people's profiles appear down here. So you're able to take a look and decide if there's somebody here that you might want to connect with, because connections with the company are going to be important. If you decide to get rid of the marketing, keep looking here. So the next button showed us what department they're in and what they study. If we click next again, these are the skills that they have on LinkedIn in their skills and endorsement area. It also tells you if you're connected with anybody. And this can be helpful because sometimes you can have a connection with a company that you didn't know about, because people that you worked with in the past are probably in all different kinds of companies and jobs. You can't keep track of everybody. This helps you out. But knowing that you've got some people that are a second degree connection, there are the 29 employees who are second degree connection. This is a good way to connect with people too, because you're going to be able to connect with somebody by saying, I see that we have people in common in our LinkedIn networks. I'm interested in AMN Healthcare as a career opportunity. How do you like it there? Let's connect. Anytime you can give them a reason to connect, you're probably more likely to get a connection. And if you wanted to be able to connect with someone, here's the Chief Marketing Officer. Never use the white connect button on this page, because that sends an automatic let's connect to them. You want to send a personalized message, so you're going to click on their name or their picture. Take a look at their profile. There will be a blue connect button here, and a blue connect button will always allow you to send a personalized message. You only have 300 characters, so you don't have an awful lot of space here, but that's enough to be able to say why you're interested in them. Make sure you're not making any demands on them on a connection for the first time, but at least getting a connection to somebody in the company is going to help you out. And then you can start a dialogue with them later. Just got an interview with the company, any suggestions or recommendations on how to prep for it? Any questions I should be preparing for? If you have a blue connect button here, you are going to use that as the connection. If there's not a blue connect button, it's going to be under the more feature here, and there'll be a connect right in the third spot right here. If you don't know who else to connect to, you can always connect to a recruiter. Recruiters are generally easier to connect to, well, 82 of them, because their job is dealing with people and they spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so they're more likely to have a profile and an interest in people in LinkedIn. So being able to find people through here, we typed in recruiter, and that means that either they currently have a title of recruiter or they at some time in their past had title of recruiter on their LinkedIn profile. So you'll have to go through and take a look and see what they have as their current title to see if there's somebody that you're going to want to connect with. And remember, don't use that white connect button. If you wanted to be able to, let's get rid of our recruiters. If you wanted to find the people who are the hiring managers, let's say that we wanted to know who the VP of IT was for this company. We've got 15, and here they are. Taking a look a little bit more closely so that you can see if they are currently in IT or if this was just something that they have had in their past, will help you decide who to connect with. When you find somebody who could be a hiring manager, then you're going to want to connect with them with a statement of, I've applied for this role. It looks like it might be in your department. Would love to talk with you about my skills and experience in bing, 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 and give more information about you. It might not be the exact right person. Normally, you'll have to try and connect with 2 or 3 people outside of the recruiting department before you get somebody to actually be part of your network. So, best way to find people who are going to be probably having the titles that would be the hiring managers would be to start looking for them right here once you've gotten them into the location that you think they probably work in. There's always the possibility that they're going to hire you in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but you're going to report to somebody who is in a different city. Hard to get around that unless you go back to your overall section here and look at all these folks. But generally, you're going to want to connect with the people in the city with the job titles that you think are going to be most likely to be the hiring managers. Okay. Another way of connecting with people and getting help is to use a university or a school. If someone in the chat feature can put in a school or a university, we'll take a look at those. Iowa. Is that Iowa State or University of Iowa? Richard went pretty fast. University of Iowa. There you go. You can always find them by the logos, if nothing else. And you're probably following them right now if you went to that school. But if your spouse went to this school, if you've got a family member, if you've got a friend, if you just like Big Ten football and you want to follow all of those 10 schools, put them in your LinkedIn profile. You're not limited to what you can put in on any of these. So you're not really interested in jobs at the University of Iowa, but you are interested in the alumni. So if we take a look at the alumni, there are 159,374 people who attended University of Iowa in the last 121 years and who have LinkedIn profiles. So let's open this up a bit. And the first column is going to be the same. Here's where they live. But look at this one, where they work. If you wanted to find a job at Facebook, there are 73 people that you went to school with, or at least went to the same school that you did, that are working at Facebook and probably can help you find a job there. So if you're not connected to these people, you need to. And a connection request to people. I also went to the University of Iowa. Loved my time there. See, you went there too. Let's connect. Considering a career at Facebook, would love to talk about it. Remember, you've only got 300 characters, so you can't put an awful lot in. But starting out with a reason that you're connecting. We went to the same school. We have something in common. Even if it's something to say, my son is now attending the University of Iowa. He's interested in engineering, looking for companies that would be strong career starts for him. Let's connect. I would love your opinion. Asking people for advice is a great way to get them connect because most people like giving advice to people. Once again, you can use all of the features through here, and let's get rid of Facebook. But you can find out where they work. If they don't show up on this top list, you can always type them in here. Using the next button, you're going to be able to see what department they work in, what they studied, which is a nice way to connect with people too. Using next one more time, what they're skilled at in their LinkedIn skills and endorsement, and how you're connected. So I've got 12 people who went to this school. And here's where those 12 people work. So it's a nice way to be able to find people that you might know already and be able to connect with them and use them in your job search. So having a connection of any sort to somebody in a company is going to bring you up on that recruiter list. But being able to have somebody within the company give you a recommendation is even better because a recommendation is generally something that is going to be sent to the HR hiring person. And they will generally look for those people first because they know a little bit more. Okay, on searches for companies and schools. I'm told to have only one LinkedIn profile, even if you're targeting more than one job or industry. Definitely true. LinkedIn will not allow you to have more than one profile. In that profile, you would be able to put in multiple job titles as long as they are in a general field or are related. You don't want to say that you want to be the vice president of IT and the vice president of sales or the vice president of HR. Those are completely different types of job searches. But if you had 3 or 4 roles in finance and accounting and auditing, those would all be appropriate up at the top. And in your about section, you would explain why you have an interest in those types of roles. The question that came up, once you find a fellow alumni at a company you want to work at, but you don't know them, what's a short spiel to say to them? You can start out by saying, I see you also attended this university. Go Tigers, whatever the, something that you would only know. I'm interested in a career at, and then say the company, which I see you're working at. Any advice on, or just let's connect. You can leave it at that, or you can ask for advice at that point. Any tips on how to get into the company? So starting out with, we're alumni, we went to the same school. I'm looking at this company for a reason, and let's connect. You're also going to want to be active on the homepage though. Oh, I have a question. When I search for jobs, I often see it as promoted. That would be on the jobs tab. And when you're looking for a job, Sometimes it will say promoted. That means that LinkedIn feels that you have the qualifications to look at this job more closely. So promoted means you are a better match for that particular job. This feature here, actively recruiting, the green target, means that LinkedIn has evaluated the activities surrounding that job by the recruiting team and realizes that there is a sincere search for somebody for this job at this company. Some jobs that are posted out here are ghost jobs. They've already got somebody tapped internally and they are putting the job out there in order to prove to the government that they are looking for a wide enough range of people. And you apply to the job and you never had a chance for it because they've already got somebody inside that they're going to be using. Being able to see that it's actively recruiting is a good feature because it means it's a real job. Having it say promoted is also good because it means that you're probably a good match. And by looking through what skills and needs they have, you've probably got a fair amount of that. Let's take a quick look at the home page because your activity on the home page is going to be important. LinkedIn rewards heavily the ability to network and comment on this page. LinkedIn is going to give you information on this page that comes from the people in your connection group, from the groups that you belong to, from the companies that you are interested in your interest area. Anytime you're on this page, and generally at least once a week, you should be able to put a comment in to something on this page. LinkedIn gives you more points if you have comments rather than using this like feature where it's kind of Facebook-ish, but putting in a comment, being able to add to the conversation, being able to continue the discussion is important to LinkedIn. Just putting in a thank you is going to suffice, but if you want maximum points on comments, you need a minimum of 8 words. And they can be any words that you want as long as it's continuing the discussion. If you want to be able to get the most points on this page, you're going to start your own post. And when you start a post, quite often you're going to want a photo on it in order to engage people a little bit faster. But as you start typing something that is going to be a title line, to get people to read the rest of it, because only the first couple lines are going to be visible when it's on somebody else's homepage. So put in a title line and then put in additional information, put lots of white space in between that. You can also just bring in information from another page. So if you're looking at features on pages outside of LinkedIn, but it's an interesting article, quite often the articles will have the blue IN logo, which indicates that you can click on the logo on that page. It'll bring it into your post area. You can put a statement on top of it. Thought I'd share this, found it was interesting, particularly point 3 that talks about this, and then post it. So if you don't want to start out with something original, then find other pieces of information that might be worthwhile. Okay, questions?
All right, Deanna asked, when a company has a back to work / relaunch program, and I'd like to connect to be considered for the program, what would you recommend I do on LinkedIn?
Quite often you're going to want to go to the company page itself and see if you can find people who would be in that area of the launch. Also connect with HR, because if there's going to be a large hiring in order to staff that, you're going to want to connect with at least 3 recruiters in hopes of getting 1 or 2 of them to accept it. But also trying to find the title of the person who you think is going to be in that role is going to be an important part. So a lot of times you're going to be connecting somewhat blindly, but once you connect with someone in the company, then you can have that dialogue through messaging where you can say, I heard that there was information about a new project. Here's the title of it. What do you know about it? And try and connect with people and get more information that way.
Okay. If a job has been posted for 2 or 3 weeks and doesn't say actively recruiting, does it most likely mean that it maybe is not a real job, or maybe it's planned for inside already, as an inside promotion?
Not necessarily. The only thing that LinkedIn can tell you is that we know for sure that this is an active recruited type of role. But just because you're not seeing anything, any activity, and it's been out there for 2 or 3 weeks, doesn't mean that they're not. It could mean that they're using that 2, 3, 4 weeks to collect as many resumes as they can. Then they'll run it through their applicant tracking system and pick out the top 10% to look at more closely. So just because it doesn't say that they're actively recruiting doesn't mean that they're not.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Just unmute your mic and ask away. Or Brian asked, if you're trying to relocate to a specific city, is the best option to note that in the open to work section?
Yes. If you're interested in another city, you can either put that in as your current city, or in your open to work area, you're allowed to have up to 5 different job locations. Put in the cities, the metropolitan areas that you're interested in. Metropolitan areas have a higher search value than a single city. And if you have several within a single state, you might just want to put the state.
Okay. And you probably also want to list that in your about section to let people know that you're willing to relocate to those, because if somebody's not paying for the recruiting package, they wouldn't necessarily see those comments.
And we're thinking that about half of the recruiters on LinkedIn are not using the recruiter package, which means that having this information here is not visible to them, and you do need to have that in the about section.
Okay. Let's see here. I have seen LinkedIn job postings with dozens of applicants still listed. Is that normal?
Yes, and there are a couple of different reasons that a company is going to keep it out there. One is if they don't feel that they've gotten enough qualified candidates yet, and they're keeping it out for a longer period of time. Sometimes they're just leaving it out there in order to collect more information about people who are interested in their company. And sometimes, I hate to say it, they put it out there in order to find out what people's salaries are, so that they
Okay.
can.
I was trying to figure out why somebody would leave something out there because when I hear recruiters talk about, I look at hundreds of resumes and I take like 2 or 3, and I saw a position the other day where there were literally 80 odd applicants for a mid career path thing, and I'm like, why is this still out here if they've got 80 odd resumes to dig through already? I was kind of curious about that.
And it could also mean that it's not a high priority for them, and that they're going to wait for the full length of time for that posting to be out there, because they're working on other jobs that are a higher priority to bring into the company.
Right. Maria says, do you suggest putting more experience on LinkedIn over 10 years, even if it's redundant?
I do, because, and everything we say in these sessions are things that I believe based on what I've seen on LinkedIn and how I've seen LinkedIn respond. Other people are going to have other ideas and other ways of setting up a LinkedIn profile. Could be correct. LinkedIn doesn't give you an awful lot of information as to what's real and what's not. So you're going to have a lot of different opinions out there. But being able to take a look at LinkedIn and find the jobs that are going to be as close to you as possible, and be able to apply to them is going to be an important part. And I don't think I answered that question. You want to say that one again?
Let's see. Well, do you put more than 10 years of experience? I mean,
yes.
How far back do you want to go?
Okay. Redundancy is good on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to take a look at the keywords that you've got and is going to determine how many times you say that word, and the more times you say it, the more they feel that you have that skill. LinkedIn can count up to 5. So if you need to go back 15, 20 years, go ahead and do that in order to ensure that you've got a true set of skills that they can follow through the path and be able to see how much value you can bring.
All right, Richard put a question, how much real estate is in the headline section? I've added a document in there called 2021 LinkedIn character count. And it lists all the different fields and all the amount of characters that you can put in for each field. So please download that out of the chat if you'd like. I also put a document in there on action verbs that you can use like in your job titles and before every bullet point, to make sure that you're showing some kind of action that's going on here. Well, Ruth, thank you very, very much. Great information. Let's see here. Brian said this was honestly the best LinkedIn training I've ever attended. Thank you very much. So Brian, we're glad that you really enjoyed that. Here is Ruth's LinkedIn profile. If you want to connect with her, please send a personal note. I know personally for me, if you don't send me a personal note, I will not connect with you. You've got to tell me how we met. So if you're going to connect with Ruth, send her a personal note, tell her you saw her here today, that you really like the flowers she has in the background, especially the purple ones or the orange ones, or whatever color your favorite color is. So, that's there. Ruth, thank you very, very much. Next week, our speaker is Locke Alderson. Also, he's a career consultant, a longtime recruiter. He's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies that gets results. So please join us next Tuesday at 1 o'clock Central Time. Okay, I need everybody online to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. So if you don't know how to do that, please reach out to us and let us help you so that you will get better. You'll have more connections. When you send a personal note, people will connect with you. It's much easier because you give them a reason why you're reaching out to somebody. All right, CareerFW and CareerUSA.org, we're putting out training 5 days a week. Today is our 257th workshop we put on since COVID started. Tomorrow, for Interviewing Wednesdays, we'll be completing our special guest speaker series during the month of April. Tomorrow, Carol Bukel will be with us to talk about secrets for an effective interview. And then starting May 5th, we'll go back to our 13-part workshop of everything you want to know about interviewing, but we're afraid to ask. On Thursday, we do effective resumes every Thursday. We'll have resume tips and tricks. You'll have an opportunity to win a free month of unlimited use of jobscan.co. It's a way to check your resume against a job description and to see how good the match is and if you need to change things and how you'll make offers and stuff. So we'll give away 2 licenses to be able to do that. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, the only meeting it doesn't meet at 1 o'clock, Strength Finders and Core Clarity with PJ Dunn. PJ is a great speaker. He talks about, number one, how to use Strength Finders to maximize your strengths, because you want to talk about your strengths, not about your weaknesses, and how to do that. If you haven't taken Strength Finders, which is now called Clifton Strengths, you may want to do that. You can do it online. I think it's like 20 or 25 bucks maybe. But it's really sort of helpful to be able to do it. If not, you'll talk about it afterwards. And then Core Clarity is the second half of it, where it sort of, you see where your top 5 categories sort of fit and sort of shows you what kind of person you are. Next Monday for Networking Mondays, every Monday we have a different speaker talking about networking. Heidi Torres will be with us. She's going to talk about how serving turns into networking opportunities. So how helping other people, how volunteering helps you is a great way to help you network. And it's another opportunity on how to meet other people. So please join the Career DFW and Career USA LinkedIn groups. You're welcome to do that. If you join the Career DFW LinkedIn group, we have over 13,000 members. So it's a great way to expand your connections. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got over 200 different episodes there that you can go back and watch and and watch anytime you want. You'll be able to go back and watch this episode as often as you like and pick any things out that you like. It will be 2 or 3 hours for YouTube to get this loaded because it takes them a little while for them to process the video. On the YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Be sure to click on playlist where you see the green arrow, and then don't click on the video, but down where you see that red arrow, click on view full playlist. And then what will happen is up will pop a list of all the different events in chronological order and the title that they talked about, and you can go back and you can watch them. You probably want to watch the most current ones because our speakers do go and they update their information. If you're not receiving emails about any of our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. You can do so by sending an email to Career USA, +subscribe@groups.io. You will never be spammed. I control it. Nobody else can put an email out except for me. And I put out 6 or 7 emails a week. What I'll do is every day I put out the daily email that has a topic for the day, as well as the Zoom link so that you'll be able to click right then and be able to get into the event without having to go to someplace else to look for it. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Ruth is a volunteer. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do any of this over the last 12 and a half, 13 years. So we survive on donations. It pays for Zoom, it pays for the web names, it pays for the web hostings, and anything I can't get donated. So please consider when you get your next job, please consider making a donation to help us out. So thank you very much for joining us today. Hopefully we'll see you later in the week. Remember, all of our sessions start at 1 o'clock, except for Friday at 9:30, and all our times are Central Time Zone. So thank you very much for joining us, and there's that email address. Have a great afternoon.